From tales of the Great Cleave, Thorpe's plans, making history. Here I come full circle, from laboring in the mines on behalf of our mistress, to now being in command of the entire operation. I shall bring new purpose to this enterprise as well. To the mistress, the motes of that infernal Azoth, but to me, the materials to construct the designs of the ancients. History will be made here in Great Cleave. Destiny realized. Isabella has now become extremely interested in our enterprise here in the Great Cleave, and where I hoped to only construct a handful of the fell portals, she has expanded the plan to include many more. The final stonework for our first structure at the summit nears completion, and I will now leave this operation to my lieutenants and ascend to ensure the rituals are planned to perfection. The strength and pride I feel for the work makes up for whatever regrets I may have for my time in the old world. This was my destiny all along. The Ancients, a race of creatures that walked Aeternum centuries ago. For years, we have walked Aeternum, overshadowed by massive statues of four-armed creatures, running from glowing skeleton warriors hell-bent on killing us if we come close to their sanctuary. These tombs that act as memorials to a race of creatures that are considered the founders of this formidable island are looked upon in awe, and many have come to idolize this race.
The gods summoned us from the old world, calling us to paradise, the undying land. They promised life eternal. The divine ancients shared their wisdom, directing us to build great temples to house their wonders. The works of my people shone like a jewel in this new world.
What if all of that is a lie? What if the stories we have come to believe about a race of glorious, intelligent creatures is all a lie? The ancients were a race of creatures as cruel, if not more cruel, than humans themselves.
Aeternum's ruins tell the tale of a magnificent civilization that once dominated the island. Its architects, the ancients, discovered or possibly created the energy we call Azoth. In the millennia that followed, humanity came from countless prehistoric cultures: Sumeria, China, Egypt, and more. They were called to explore the sea, summoned by the ancients to this island. These early arrivals worshipped the ancients as gods. They toiled under the ancients' guidance, building hundreds of monuments and towers. The ancients imbued a chosen few with gifts. These heroes were granted monumental powers and life eternal. The wars raged on for centuries, and the ancients blessed entire armies. But most of the human vessels degraded into mindless skeletal warriors.
I warned my brethren. These beings were not worthy of eternal life. But the gift was bestowed nonetheless.
Not only did they experiment on us, but they sacrificed humans to turn them into an army of warriors to fight their battles. They used us to create their monuments, and ultimately, they created the ultimate cardinal sin by releasing our greatest enemy into the world, the corruption. Over 4 millennia ago, the ancients thrived on the island of Aeternum. The oldest recorded human alive on Aeternum is Imhotep, who died in our world around the year 2600 BC. The ancients were the first to experiment with Azoth and to understand the full potential of this magical chemical. Life on Aeternum thrived. It thrived so well that the ancients sent out a beacon to invite other creatures to come to this island, to bask in the glory, and ultimately to be their test subjects and workers. Around the year 2600 BC, the first settlers came to Aeternum, and the ancients established themselves as gods, revealing themselves to humans in familiar forms such as animals, before eventually showing their full form.
When we first appeared before them, humans were eager to learn, hungry for guidance. We approached them in forms that were familiar, and showered them with blessings.
Humans flocked in droves to the New World. They came at the excitement of adventure and discovering immortality. But for a time, Azoth was not made available to them. They were kept from the magical elixir, and instead, they toiled under the sun as the ancients watched, guiding them to build vast monuments in their glory. They spoon-fed us their secrets out of fear of what we may do with their power. After some time, though, the ancients began to push the limits of their experiments, and ultimately, they pushed Azoth too far. We don't know how long humans lived alongside ancients before the first portal was made. But after some time, the ancients pushed too far, and they created the first portal into another dimension, the Fell Portal. It is unknown what came out of this portal, but it is clear that the influence of the corruption entered Aeternum with the creation of the first Fell Portal. Humans were immediately infected by the power of corruption, pushed to greatness by the whispers in their ears to become everything they knew they could become. The ancients were not free of this corruption either. Once corrupted, the ancients became divided. Some rejected the corruption, saying it was a curse that needed to be destroyed. Others accepted willingly, or by force, the message of the corruption and fell into submission. We do not know the name of the ancient that led the corruption as its first vessel, but we do know that this creature wreaked havoc on the Azoth-aligned ancients. And along with the corrupted humans and the horde of creatures pouring from the fell portals, the corruption was winning. In an act of desperation, the ancients experimented on humans. Their numbers were dwindling, and if there was any chance of victory, they would have to relinquish control of Azoth and let their human companions touch the magical source. It was through rituals of sacrifice that humans became touched by Azoth to be transformed into something greater, something unnatural, a warrior capable of immense power. The human warriors turned the tides of war for a time. The increase in numbers to the Azoth army helped to push back the tide of corruption, but this sense of victory did not last for long. Centuries after the first Azoth human warriors were created, the battle continued for domination of Aeternum. The warriors of Azoth fought valiantly, but battle after battle began to wear on their human flesh. Azoth human warriors began to turn into skeletal warriors who were not fully in control of their actions. Or, even worse, human warriors that had been killed far too many times to continue holding on to their sanity began to turn and lose their sense of humanity. The ancients dwindled in numbers to the point where only a few of them remained. Now, the ancients needed to do something desperate if they were to win against the corruption. With only a few members remaining, they gathered together and sacrificed their bodies to the earth. This sacrifice required their life, but ultimately, it cleansed the earth and pushed back the corruption, killing all of the corrupted warriors on Aeternum. The victory was won, but at the cost of almost all of the ancients losing their life. The ancients may be dead, but their sacrifice left a lasting mark on the island. The statues they left behind are great symbolism for the lasting effect merging with the land brought on Aeternum. And still, the choices they made to open gates to different dimensions still weighs heavily on our societies today. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey. It took a long time to pull together all of this information in cinematics, and I hope you found it enlightening. All of this video is based on information obtained through the game, but I took a little artistic freedom with some of the information to draw my own conclusions where information is lacking, missing, or just not told to us, or specifically the order of events and the dates of events. Next, we will discuss one of the two side effects the ancients brought along with their sacrifice. The first one we will discuss is Azoth, where it comes from and how it came to a point of flowing through the island. So stay tuned for that video. I look forward to seeing all of you there.